Welcome to the affiliate interview series by StatsDrone. This is episode number 2. Our next guest, Catie Di Stefano. She's worked her way up from customer support at an iGaming company, now Director of Community Marketing at OnlineGamblers. Let's get to it. So hello, welcome to our affiliate interview series with StatsDrone. I'm here chatting with Catie Di Stefano, if I've said that properly.
Yes, that's right.
And you're with OnlineGamblers, correct?
That's right. I'm with OnlineGamblers in US affiliate.
Nice. So you've recently joined the team as Director of Community Marketing. So tell us why you joined.
Well, I joined about 7 months ago now, so it's still fairly new, I think. But the reason I joined was because I spoke to the owners who wished to work more with our brand that was working a lot with responsible gambling, which is something I'm very passionate about. And the idea was that most Americans right now, they don't know how to gamble. They've always, because it hasn't been legal, they've gone to their friends or cousins or wherever. And that's not very safe usually. So my goal now with the Director of Community Marketing at OnlineGamblers is to educate Americans on how to gamble safely and responsibly. So our motto is safe and legal for the win. And we're trying to teach them about, for example, using responsible gambling tools in a preventative manner rather than when it's too late. We're trying to teach them of how to find out which casinos are legal, because usually, like in Europe, you find a little logo on the bottom and stuff, and that's not a requirement in the US state. So usually, for example, you have to go into the state's own government webpage to find out which one is legal right now, and they update once per day. And it's not very easy to find that, but that's one of the things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach people how to do it safely, where they can go, and focus more on retention simply.
Well, I had no idea. So you just taught me something about the US market that I just assumed was a reality.
No, unfortunately, it's not. It's very, very common that the most Americans that go in now and start to play, they have no idea. And I think a misconception as well within the gambling industry in the US is that a lot of people in the industry in the US think that new players to online are already land-based players, which they're not. Usually the new players have never been to land-based either, and they have a bet online. So they're all brand new and just trying to learn, like, what is the spread? How do I count odds? Stuff like that. So that's what we're trying to teach.
It sounds like you've got a lot of data behind you. So my
Yes,
next question is, what have you learned from working? I noticed that you worked at Bets and customer support. So my question is kind of like, I'm sure that experience translates to what you do today, but also if you've got any hilarious or annoying stories of customers that you've had to deal with.
Yeah, so I started out in Bets and customer support when I was 19. It was one of my first jobs, actually. I moved to Malta by myself and didn't know anyone. So basically, I was thrown into the industry, and work colleagues and customers became my life, more or less. I used to dream about the chats and emails, like I got and like replying them in my sleep. But I think it's one of the best years like I've ever had in my career. Like, it was amazing working with Betsson, such good team spirit and everything. And I think like funny stories with customers I had. So I was a normal customer support agent at the time, but I was working with a VIP who basically, in the beginning, he had more of a liking of me, I think. So whenever he had a problem, he would call into customer support and ask for me. But then it started to become daily, where he would not have a question, just asking for me to talk about with me like for a long time, and it could go on for an hour. And I was like, do you have any questions I can help you with regarding to bets? And he's like coming up with questions just to keep talking. And then I think after like 2 or 3 months, he admitted that he was in love with me and like asked me to move to Sweden and be with him. And I was like, no, I'm just working, trying to be professional. Like, very weird. But I think shortly after that, I left customer support, and I heard he kept calling in asking for me, but they couldn't tell them that I wasn't there anymore. So that's a weird story. But I think the one I usually think about the most now, it's been, 11 years since I work in customer support. But the one story I think about the most is there was one guy who called in. I just like worked, I think, a month or something. So I was brand new in customer support. And he called in and said he was going to kill himself if we didn't give him back all of his deposits. And I was so brand new, and I was muting it and telling my manager, I'm like, I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't know how to handle it. And he was like, you cannot hang up, you have to stay on the line and talk to him, calmly explain, like, you can call these phone numbers, report for gambling, help. And I think I was on the phone with him for over an hour and just tried to talk to him. And I think I know long time after, like, we closed his account and everything. And I think, like, I Googled him afterward to make sure he was okay. But it was really tough for me, and it's something I'll never forget, how deep you can fall in when it comes to gambling addiction. So I always try to keep that in mind when I've kept working. And that's why it's one of my main goals today, that I want to teach people that you don't have to go that far. Like, you have to think, like, how much can I afford to spend, and plan it thoroughly, stick to your budget, stuff like that. And it's just break my heart. I remember he was saying that he has taken his kids' money and stuff like that, stuff you don't want to hear, really. So I'm working everything I can do today to just make sure that we get less people that get to that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think our industry is starting to change where responsible gambling is becoming a bit more normalized, where I think it was something that maybe we didn't really want to talk about or acknowledge, but it's I think the right and wrong things have happened where companies are doing it because they feel compelled to, like they don't have a choice. But I also see a lot more companies that are actually more proactive than they've ever been, where they're not waiting for the laws and regulations to tell them they have to do this, and they're finally actually going, you know what, let's be a leader. And I think finally we're starting to see some positive change.
I think so too, and I'm so proud to see more and more companies come up with initiatives to encourage responsible gambling. But that's why I don't know if you saw the New York Times article that was posted a couple of weeks ago. Did you see them about the sports betting industry?
I think I've heard about it. I saw a lot of
Okay.
LinkedIn comments on that topic.
So one of the things that I found very, very strange, criticized by New York Times, was they kind of not made fun, but they criticized us of trying to come up with their own rules. And basically, they said that we were trying to govern our own industry by coming up with responsible gambling rules, but we're not, like, really following proper. Or I don't know, but basically, they were saying that we should wait for regulation before we take action, because we don't know that this is working. And I think the complete opposite. I think it's amazing the operators and other providers, or like us affiliates, are trying to stop this in an earlier matter. Like, we can't wait, because I think the problem, especially looking at other countries like Sweden, Spain, for example, the regulators there who set up the regulation have no idea how gambling works. So it's more like pushing them onto the black market. And I don't want to see that same mistake happen in the US. That's why I think it's so great that everyone working in the US legally are trying to make sure that we don't get to that point where there's no sponsorship on sports, or there's no retention bonus or stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's great that they're trying.
Yeah, and I think it's important that those people that work on the land base and the regulation side connect to the people like us that have been working in the space for a long time in the online space and go, we know how it is, and we know everyone and everything. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
let's combine all this knowledge, and this should probably make the best way forward. I think unfortunately we're getting a lot of case studies of, like, when certain countries do things in a certain way and they encourage that black market to thrive, it's kind of like, well, there's your evidence. Like, if you want to go down that path, you're going to become that next country that's not really
Exactly.
done it right.
No, exactly. And I think one country that I think has done it, okay, so Colombia, they have done questionable things, but when it comes to gambling regulation, I think they've done an amazing marketing campaign where they have this motto: betting legal is betting on the health of Colombians, because they give a certain percentage of all their gaming tax revenue to health department. So they pay for hospital, doctor salaries, ambulances, and stuff like that. And I think that's amazing, because then people are more encouraged to actually help their community. If they're going to gamble, they might as well help the community. What I'm missing in the US is that there's more marketing around that as well, because the US, a lot of states do the same thing. Money of the tax revenue goes to education, or to infrastructure, or to help homeless people. This, depending on the state, they do a lot of different stuff, but most people don't know about that in the US.
Yeah.
They think it's just like going money to all these fat cat suits, or how do you say, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's going
And
to
I'm
just
seeing
big
a lot.
business.
Exactly. And I'm seeing a lot of posts in the US like, oh, is there any charity casinos or where all the money just go to goodwill or whatever. And I'm trying to explain to people, well, there's a certain percentage in your state that gives to these things. So, but again, people are not educated, and that's why we're trying to change.
Yeah, that's awesome. So next question, I noticed on your LinkedIn that you do business and marketing coaching and mentorship. So I wanted to
Mhm.
hear more about that.
So right now, when it comes to marketing, I'm exclusive to OnlineGamblers. But previously, I've helped with setting up marketing campaigns for operators. Like I do normal retention campaigns. That's very, very common. Again, working in customer support and VIP and CRM for 10, 11 years. You've seen all the campaigns there is, more or less. Uh, so I think I have a lot of experience when it comes to retention, and that's one of them before. But again, now when I'm working with affiliation, this is all brand new to me. So the only thing I'm doing when it comes to marketing really on the outside is mentorship. So I help a lot of people that want to start with LinkedIn and do LinkedIn videos. I teach them how to build a script and what to think about when you're filming, and maybe how to edit, set the subtitles, stuff like just very, very easy stuff that doesn't take a lot of time for me. And it's more for me to get to know people, just get a good connection, and hopefully get them out there somewhere, because there's so many talented people in our industry, but a lot of people feel so scared to get out there. They're trying, like, they feel like if they're doing wrong the first time, people are just going to think they're like weird, and it's not like that. It's trial by error. You have to do it several times. And I always say this, they say that the first 100 videos is the worst, so you just have to get through the first 100 and then you get there.
Yeah, it sounds like you're sending a lot of criticism and feedback towards my direction.
No, you're doing amazing.
No, I'm kidding, but it's the same thing for me. Starting this year, it's I've not really done much video, and it was pretty intimidating to get started. And I pretty much knew that the first 100 or whatever videos were going to be not the best, but I kind of wanted to have them to look back on them and say, I think for anyone that's actually done well in the like videos, they all have their ugly first video to look upon, but they're
Yeah.
actually proud of it. They're like, look at what I was back then. And I kind of wanted to say, you know what? We take a lot of pictures to document our history and our life, but why not do it with video, even if it's work related?
Exactly. Yeah, I think, I mean, videos is what really captures you now when you scroll on social media. I mean, if it's a text, it's so easy to just go by, where if it's a really good, engaging video, you will stay. So I think it's really amazing. But when I look back at it now, like, I think my best videos was probably my first 10 ones, because I just tried and I was like not expecting anything and I wasn't scared. Now I feel like every video I do, I have expectations, and people are like, oh, this is not as good as the last one, or I don't feel like I'm a lot more picky now, so it takes a lot more time to just do it. Where I think my first 3 videos I did in the one day. I just changed outfits, wrote all the script, changed like where I was, so it was like different backgrounds, but they were all made in the same day, and they were amazing, and I'm really happy with them. But now I can't make it as good. We'll see.
You set yourself up.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So my next question is, do you think people should do more volunteer work? Because I noticed that you've got a lot of that in your LinkedIn.
Volunteer work. I mean, I think it's good. It's always good to help other people. Like, you have nothing to lose. If you have some extra time, you can always just give some good advice. When it comes to like spending a lot of like volunteer boards and stuff like that, I think yes, I think you get a lot of experience from it that can be used later on, and maybe even get to know someone that can introduce you to your next client or your next project or whatever. So I think the more you can be out there, the better. That's why, for example, not that it's the same being a volunteer, but going to a conference as well. Even though I'm not planning maybe to meet someone, it's so important to just, with LinkedIn as well, it's just important to be out there, to be seen. That way, it's like it's like the Coca-Cola method. I think it's called like that. When you recognize something, you're gonna pick it.
Yeah, not heard that phrase before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah, but it's like, if you're gonna go in a store and there's all these different colas, and the only one you recognize is Coca-Cola, you're gonna go with what you know is working, what is the best. And I've noticed when I've done my LinkedIn videos now, when it comes to like the mentorship as well, a lot of people that started up with videos have contacted me because they saw my videos first and they're like, I know you did it, so can you help me? Whereas
Awesome.
they might have more of a problem just finding someone who's good with videos. They don't know if they're going to help them for free or what they're going to charge and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier to go with what you know.
Yeah, no, I like that. So I also noticed that you've got courses and certificates for the iGaming Academy and Pantasia. So I wanted to know, like, how much did those help shape your experience in iGaming?
Pantasia specifically, that was the reason I managed to get into iGaming. So I moved to Malta, I think, by myself, and I was looking for a job for a solid 2 months, just to customer support. But it's so difficult. This was 2011, and everyone wanted someone with gambling experience, but obviously I didn't have any because I just finished high school. And I saw this course from Pantasia that was like Introduction to iGaming. And I decided just, okay, I'll spend my last money go on that and maybe just see if I meet someone. I went and I met so many people that said, like, most of the people in the course, I think I was the only one who was new, and other people was like programmers, or maybe someone who worked with casino who wanted to learn about sport and stuff like that. And I went, I think it was 3 times a week for 3 weeks or something. And I learned so much. And as soon as I had that certificate, I got 3 offers in one day. One of them was
Wow.
Betson, and I took it. Yes,
Okay.
so it was amazing. And iGaming Academy was the fraud course. I don't remember exactly what it is. Anti-money laundering and terrorism.
Yes.
And one more. I don't remember exactly, but I did them when I worked with GIG, because when you work with an operator, you always have to do these yearly courses. So that's what I did. And I think they're great. I think especially last year in 2019, I did my last course. They've developed so much. Like I did like a course where you had to pretend you were in different scenarios and you were the police and you were the court and what to judge. And it was just amazing now what kind of technology they have to teach everyone working with this. So yeah, it's amazing. Thumbs up to both of them.
Yeah, well, they sound like they're really interesting lead magnets, because we obviously see a lot of people, especially in some of the community groups, that have like they're just focused exclusively on iGaming jobs. They're like, where do I get started? And it sounds like this is probably one of the better ways to actually get started.
Yeah, definitely. I think because everyone is looking for someone who is either experienced or have passion enough to get into it. And I think that's what showed that I was willing to go this course and actually learn. And I'm not like here for the summer job or something. I really wanted to do it. So I can really recommend that to anyone wanted to get into the industry. Just do a little short course.
Awesome. And last is, how do you see the regulated iGaming markets in the US changing in the next 5 years? And what excites you about what do you see happening there?
So much. Like,
Yeah.
I am so excited with the US. Like, it's for me a dream come true that all of these states are opening up, and the speed it's been now after the pandemic when everyone's looking at it. And I had a panel, for example, in May at iGaming Next. We were asked to talk about Florida, Texas, New York, and California, I think. And when it came to Texas, I was like, nope, it's never going to happen. They're going to be the last ones. Never, never, never. And now they're like actually talking about it. And it's only been a couple of months. And I'm like, what? Was I wrong like a couple of months ago? So it's just strange how fast I think I said it's going to be years Texas are even going to be open to it. But now, again, it's going fast. I think when it comes to regulation, I am hoping to see more iGaming being legalized. And I think if New York manages to go through with it, then we're very, very lucky. I think a lot of people will start looking at it to copy it. Even though New Jersey has been live for a while, I don't know, people don't see it the same way. I think when it comes to other states, that's when people is like, okay, yes, it's working or not working, whatever, it is working. So they're going to be more open to it. I'm hoping maybe in the next 5 years that at least 5 states have regulated iGaming. I'm hoping so. That would be amazing. But what excites me the most is seeing online gambling become normalized. I hope, like, because I think that the biggest difference working with the US for me and Europe is that in Europe, gambling is so stigmatized, whereas in the US, yes, it's stigmatized a little bit, but not in the same way. People are understanding that when you go to the casino, you're there to lose, you're there to spend money, you can't expect to win. Whereas in Europe, everyone has an expectation that they're gonna win, or it's just bad and like whatever. And I'm hoping in the next couple of years we will see gambling in the US become more of an accepted form of entertainment, just like betting on stock or currency. That's also for me a type of betting. And I'm hoping that people will see betting on games is also a type of entertainment that you either win on or you lose. You never know. Yeah, that's my expectation and my hope.
And I guess that goes hand in hand with conferences and getting the ability to travel and experience some of these places.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would still travel even if it wasn't for the conferences. But I really love the conferences because the connection, like there's a certain like little community or group of people who go to all of the conferences. It's always the same people. You're one of them. Don't worry, I know you. So, and it's just I love those people because usually those people are so outgoing. And when I go to conferences, that's the time where I learn the most. Like I'm just talking to people and they're telling me these stories. This has happened to work. This is where we're facing the challenges, and I'm just feeling like I'm learning so much and I'm just absorbing so much knowledge and experience, and it makes me inspired. And I feel like every time I come back from a conference, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm going to be the rest of my life and just helping out. This is my purpose. And yeah, I just love it. And especially US. And it has a lot to do with the acceptance of gambling, I think, because I don't feel the same way when I talk to people in Europe and I say that I work with gambling. They're like, oh no, you're so bad, or like not bad, but Whereas in the US, it's just like, oh, that's so fun, good for you. How is it working with the casino? And it's just another type. So I love that, and I want to be there to help them not get to the same way that Europe is.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment, and I think I've experienced that in my life and career. So thank you so much for doing this. I want to ask, how can people find you? Like, what websites and how can they get a hold of you?
First, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so honored that you wanted to talk to me. If anyone wants to reach me, they can contact me on LinkedIn, Catie Di Stefano, or of course through my website, katiedistefano.com. That's the two main ones.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and hope you have a great day.